On this electrifying episode of Mythbusters,
Oh, whoa, hey, ow!
Adam and Jamie take a humble water pistol to stunning heights. Can a water-powered stun gun really paralyze a perpetrator?
Now!
Meanwhile, Kari, Tory, and Grant tow two myths over the coals. First, firewalking, mythical mysticism, or scientific certainty.
That hurt a lot.
Then flinging a fire extinguisher onto flames.
Run, Tory, run!
Can it really snuff out a fire? Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
Get to the chopper!
and Jamie Hyneman.
When in doubt, C4.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
That was it.
Joining them, Tory Belleci,
Who's gonna lose their teeth today?
Grant Imahara,
So it's one giant leap for myth kind.
and Kari Byron.
I went from totally optimistic to a little sketchy.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, something truly shocking.
You know, I'm one of the few people in the world that knows right now that you're smiling. What's the smile about?
I've got a new myth, and I'm excited about it.
Well, don't hold back. What is it?
Okay, well, rumor has it that secret agencies from countries around the world are developing a water-based stun gun.
A water-based stun gun?
Exactly. And it's our job to determine whether it's feasible or not.
That is cool.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Stun guns are stunningly effective, but hard to reload. So that's where the mythical water stun gun comes in. But is this watery weapon really the favorite gadget of spies around the world?
So you're the one that loves this myth. What's your plan?
Well, the first thing we need to do is get a commercially available stun gun.
And see what we can learn from it.
Exactly, and then we'll make a water shooting gun and hook up an electrical source to it and see if we can shock the heck out of somebody.
As long as that someone isn't me, I love this plan.
And then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So, first up, they're going to assess the non-water using real deal. And before you can say, don't stun gun me, bro,
Wow.
I don't like the look of that.
That looks like it would hurt.
because it looks so hurtful, Adam's taking no chances.
We're obviously no strangers to being shocked on this show. Literally and figuratively. During the production of Baghdad Pattery, Tory got shocked. Scotty got shocked. And I unwittingly got seriously shocked.
So with this stun gun,
Honestly, none of us feel comfortable either getting shot by it or seeing anybody else get shot by it. So, in this case, this dude here is our stand-in target.
3, 2, 1.
Dude, that is harsh.
I hit him in the face.
It turns out that a regular electric stun gun has wires that deliver a massive 50,000 volts through 2 of these barbed spikes. On contact with the bad guy, the volts instantly drop down to 5,000, causing neuromuscular incapacitation. And that simply means
When you get hit by one of these things, you lose all physical control. Your muscles, the nervous system, and everything just go haywire, and you can't deal with it.
here at the Mythbusters Electrolysis Clinic, we use the latest techniques to make sure those pesky hairs never come back.
so that's what the commercial stun gun can do. It's got a range of 15 feet. It puts out an initial charge of 50,000 volts, which drops to 5,000 volts on contact, causing neuromuscular incapacitation. But can an electrified water stream trump this trilogy? Well, just in time, a delivery's arrived by man. Water pistols.
Can a toy become a weapon? See, the thing here is that in order for the electricity to be communicated to our victim via water, the water stream has to be continuous, i.e. laminar for you engineers out there. So I've got an arm full of all the latest water shooting toys. We're going to shoot them on high-speed camera and see which ones give us the flow we like.
First up, Adam sees red. By adding this dye, the water stream should be easier to analyze on the high-speed camera.
This is the Hyneman at his most vulnerable, working with red food colouring. His white shirt could be desecrated at any moment.
With these spotless scientists still intact, the water pistol testing can begin.
Little football coming up. 1, 2, 3.
You know, it looks like it's breaking up after just a couple feet or so.
And that's something the high speed clearly shows. The moment it's out the barrel, the water breaks up into hundreds of distinct droplets. A 15-foot continuous laminar stream, this ain't. Cue the 2-chamber deluxe edition.
I've got high hopes for this one, but we'll see.
But that breaks up too. They pull a different pistol, and another, and another. But they all break up, meaning there's no path for any charge to travel through.
What's next?
It's the last one.
It doesn't get any simpler than that. It's just a big tube.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what it does.
With only one potential pistol to go, it's the Myth's last throw of the dice.
All right, I'm ready.
Like the others, this fun gun sure is a super soaker. But is it laminar?
That is by far the best one we've tried yet.
At last, the high speed gives it the thumbs up. A 15-foot totally continuous laminar flow.
Now the question is, can we get electricity into this stream? Can we get it to a person? And when we do, is it a reasonable stun gun?
Okay, you guys, Adam and Jamie are doing a water myth. I think it's only appropriate that we do a fire myth.
Yes, time to let out the inner pyro. Fire.
We've got 2 myths you can unleash it on. First, if you throw a fire extinguisher into the fire, will it explode and extinguish the fire?
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
And second, we're going to be looking at walking on hot coals from a scientific perspective.
Kick ass. I've always wanted to walk on fire.
All right.
Hold your horses, Tory, because first up, it's fire meets fire extinguisher. According to our fans, the myth goes like this. If you fling a fire extinguisher into a fire, the heat builds up pressure in the tank till it ruptures. Then all the retardant spills out and douses the fire. Or does it?
Okay, so how are we going to test this one?
Well, this one's pretty straightforward. I say we just build a giant fire, put the fire extinguisher in, see what happens.
You know, there's not a lot of specifics to this myth, so let's take the 3 most common fire extinguishers with us.
So that would be water, chemical foam, and carbon dioxide.
Yeah, you did your homework.
Always do.
And before the team further fan the flames of their pyromania, Tory, of all people, coordinates the experiment's safety features.
So what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna stick my fire extinguisher up here like this. So I hit the quick release, and the fire extinguisher goes in the fire. For my next trick, I will vanish in thin air. I wave the magic wand.
And abracadabra, they've arrived at their home away from home.
We're here at the Alameda Bomb Range, and we're going to test the myth that if you throw a fire extinguisher into a fire, that will explode and extinguish the fire.
Yep, the guys intend to put the blowtorch on 3 everyday types of fire extinguisher.
The myth that a fire extinguisher can fall into a fire and extinguish the entire fire is sort of general. It doesn't tell what kind of fire extinguisher. So we went and got every single kind we could. We have water, we have carbon dioxide, and we have chemical foam. One of these might work.
First up for the slide ride into the fire is the most common type of fire extinguisher, CO2. And to understand why carbon dioxide is used as a fire retardant, here's Fire Physics 101. Fire needs 3 things in order to burn: oxygen, fuel, and heat. Remove one, and the chain reaction fizzles out. Which is exactly how CO2 works. Being heavier than air, it blankets the flames, replaces the oxygen, and the fire triangle collapses. But if you chuck a high-pressure CO2 canister onto a fire, will it actually blow up and put the fire out?
Now this one is under the most pressure, 800 PSI, but it's probably the least likely to explode because it has a pressure release valve, and this prevents it from exploding.
And Kari's cocksure, it'll be a fizzer.
There is no way a fire extinguisher is going to fail so catastrophically that it explodes and then extinguishes the fire.
But despite everyone's conviction, she and Grant hunker in the bunker, while Tory, with his pre-flight check complete, launches the CO2 tank.
Ready? Ready?
Run, Tory, run!
And then beats a hasty retreat. Down the hill, Tory only just has time to get his breath back.
It sounds like something's hissing.
Yeah, the safety valve released.
Before the experiment fizzles out, as the pressure relief valve does its job. And 15 minutes later, it's empty.
It's a good testament to the safety feature that's built in there. It's designed in an overpressure situation, such as raising temperature, to vent all the CO2 safely. As far as this myth goes, it's busted for the CO2.
Hold your flaming horses, Grant. There are still 2 other types of extinguisher to test, water and foam. And unlike the CO2, neither has a safety valve. Will flinging a fire extinguisher into a fire make it explode and put said fire out? Kari, Grant, and Tory have tried a CO2 canister, but it was a fizzer. So, how about a water extinguisher?
It's a relatively simple system. This is a pressurized tank, and it's meant to have both liquid and gas in it. Put this in the fire, heats up the water, creates steam, increasing the pressure, and hopefully rupturing the tank.
Unlike the CO2 tank that's stored at 800 psi, the water extinguisher is only under 100 psi. But it has no safety valve. And we know what happens when you add heat to a sealed water container.
When Jamie and Adam did exploding water heater, they found that by having less water in their pressure vessel, they could generate more steam and thus a bigger explosion. But what we're after here is actually putting out the fire. So I'm not going to empty the tank all the way down to the bottom. I'm just going to empty halfway because we're still going to have some water to try and put out the fire with.
So while our twisted fire starters do their thing, let's get a prediction from Kari.
Even if there's a rupture, I don't see the fire going out. This is a big fire, and I just don't think that there's going to be enough explosion to put it out completely.
All right, so the fire is ready. So this is water extinguisher.
All right, let's do it.
In 3, 2, 1.
At over 1,000 degrees, the burning coals rapidly convert the water inside the tank to steam under ever-increasing pressure. And remember, there's no safety valve on this one.
Hopefully we'll get a rupture.
So then water will go everywhere and put out the fire if the myth is true. If not, it's busted.
Yep. Right.
And 5 minutes in...
Oh, look, it's ruptured. It's actually spraying out water right now.
But the volume of water is insignificant compared to the size of the fire.
No explosion, no fire going out.
No. In fact, right now, that's not any more effective on the fire than, like a tea kettle.
Yeah.
It's going to take something with a little more kick to snuff out this fire. But at the 9-minute mark, the canister has conniptions.
We almost took out the thermal camera.
It actually came at us!
Obviously, the tank didn't vent the steam fast enough. When the pressure got too high, something had to give.
Now, it didn't explode or put out the fire, but it did turn into a little rocket. And the whole can, flipped over and then it went straight at us.
But as far as the myth goes...
So far, this myth is looking busted.
Yep, so far that's 2 in the busted bin. But up next, the foam fire extinguishers in the firing line.
Next up, chemical foam. Now this is an aqueous film-forming foam. This is for Class B fires, which is flammable liquids like solvents or oils or that sort of thing. Tank's rated for 300 psi, but just like water, they only fill it to 100 psi. We're gonna throw this in the fire, see if it explodes and extinguishes it.
And just like the water-filled tank, it has no safety valve. And of course, it goes without saying, this shouldn't be attempted at home.
I think the fill valve will be the first thing to go. It'll hiss out, and potentially we could have another mini missile. But as far as explosion goes, I don't think so. Here we go. Foam extinguisher in 3, 2, 1.
And in she goes.
We got 9 minutes before the last one blew.
You guys bring cards?
Let's do charades.
Okay, you first.
Okay.
Two words.
What did I get to?
Sounds like.
It put out the fire! It exploded and put out the fire!
Oh my God!
It's sprayed!
Oh, it's rain.
Oh, God!
Oh, let's
Yep, the foam-filled canister blew the fire into the next county.
That was awesome!
Where's the canister?
I don't know, but it definitely exploded and it put out the fire. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, I'd say there's still a few embers, but it is plausible at least.
Oh, definitely plausible. Look at that. That could put out a fire.
All right, maybe this isn't the safest way to put out a fire, but it put out a fire.
Oh, I love it when I'm wrong. I was totally wrong. I thought nothing was gonna happen. This is an extremely exciting result for us because first of all, it was a result that we were not expecting. All of us were totally wrong. The chemical extinguisher blew up, made this myth plausible.
Yep, it blew out the fire all right, but not in exactly the same way the myth described.
Put out the fire!
It wasn't the sudden release of the canister's retardant that dampened the flames. The explosion simply scattered the fuel to the far-flung regions of the range. And this success has given the guys an idea for one more test. Another 800 psi CO2 canister, but this time with a dangerous difference.
You know, there's no safety feature on the water or on the chemical foam, and that was kind of exciting. So we're gonna see what if for some reason there was a fault in the system? What if that safety feature wasn't there? What would happen?
Unnecessary? Sure, but it sounds exciting. Remember, these two were only under 100 psi. So can they extinguish a fire by taking the safety out of a CO2 safety valve? Adam and Jamie are on a mission to test the tall tale that secret agents have developed a water-powered electric stun gun. So it's water pistols at 15 feet. They've locked in the gun. Now they want to load it with electricity. So Jamie takes one water pistol and connects it to another. It's the basis for his water stun gun.
To this, we're going to attach a stun gun to supply the electricity, so that when we fire this stream of water, we actually zap somebody. That's why we call it the aquazap.
And Adam's already seeing marketing opportunities.
Allow me to walk you through some of the finer details of the new aquazap water suspect acquisition system. This will be worn on your belt in the field. When you see a suspect, all you've got to do is find a source of some salt water, and normal table salt works just great. Draw up water into your tubes, and then aim at your suspect. Pull the trigger of this electric device right here. Electricity will travel through these two wires out to electrodes that are in the water stream, and when those water streams hit your suspect, ho-ho, they are yours, gift wrapped. So we've got our gun, we've got it hooked up to stun gun power. Now we need to test it.
Well, what we need to find out is whether the stream of water is able to carry enough electricity to actually zap somebody. And I have a plan. And it works like this. You get a couple of buckets. You put a couple of metal plates at the bottom of the buckets. They're wired to a meter. You shoot water into the buckets. The electricity flows through the meter, and you can measure what you've got and whether it's enough to actually zap somebody.
Not bad. It sounds a little complicated.
Well, it is a little bit, but I happen to know a qualified electrical engineer, and we could bring him in.
And that highly experienced engineer is Grant. He's got the job of putting together the two-bucket target with copper sensors in the bottom. All will be revealed on his oscilloscope reader.
And we'll know if the signal is being transferred to the target via the water by what we see on the electrical screen.
Remember, here's what a regular stun gun can do. At 15 feet, the electric zapper hits the target at 50,000 volts. Then drops instantly to 5,000 volts for the paralyzing stage. And if this myth is true, the water version has got to do just as well as this, if not better.
Think you can hit this target, dude?
Piece of cake.
With everything set, Jamie's ready to wield the wacky water weapon. So cue the sarcastic sidekick.
I think it's clear that one of these is going to be on the belt of every police officer in the country inside of a couple of years, man. This thing's it's gonna shake things up.
CIA, take note. This might be the moment of truth you've been waiting for.
Did you get something?
I did actually get something.
Jamie's bullseyed the sensors, but the zap detector has brought up a dodgy reading.
What it's reading like is that it's like it hasn't made contact with a person yet.
And this means just one thing. Over to you, Grant.
Now, interesting thing about stun guns, they have two phases. First phase, really high voltage, and that is to arc. Let's say you have an air gap, the barbs are caught in your clothing, whatever. It arcs so that it makes a connection, and that goes to the second phase, which is called the loaded phase. And that's where the stun gun actually does its work of incapacitating the target, and that is where we want to be. The bucket rig, preventing it from getting to that second phase.
Thanks, Grant, but I, for one, need a graphic. Leaving the muzzle, the stun gun barbs spark at 50,000 volts, called the arcing phase, as they try to complete a circuit. On contact with the target, they hit the loaded phase, where the volts drop instantly to 5,000. 5,000 volts means the target isn't killed, he's just incapacitated. So for take two, the bucket's kicked, so to speak, and there's a ballistics gel dummy in its place. Will this get them into the loaded phase they're looking for?
We have put a pair of screens in that describe the two extents of where his heart would be if he had one. This allows us to measure the exact amount of electricity the stun gun applies to your heart when you get zapped.
Jamie's locked and loaded for a test at point-blank range.
3, 2, 1.
But even at that distance, it's not a good start.
Looks like it's going into the loading phase, but the voltage is much, much less.
It's hit the loaded phase okay, but the voltage is so low it wouldn't even stun a stink bug. So the ballistics gel test is already looking very shaky. Jamie tries again, this time from 5 feet away.
Go for it.
But now it's gone from bad to worse.
This trace right here indicates that you never made it into the loading phase.
But we did get a signal out of it.
Yes, but it's not, it's still in the arcing phase.
And that's not what you'd call ideal in a stun gun.
It's not where you want to be if you want to stun someone.
It's where you want to be if you want to
Potentially kill them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All in all, it's not going well. In a tedious, tiresome afternoon, attempt after attempt yields a totally different result. From no stun to death.
These electricity myths really kick our ass, I swear.
Which is Adam speak for this myth's heading due south.
In 3, 2,
Kari, Grant, and Tory are tinkering with exploding fire extinguishers. But more on that later. Next, they're mulling over the myth that walking on hot coals is mostly a mind over matter.
You know, I've always been really curious about firewalking.
Yeah, me too, and I've seen people do it, but they're always in like a trance-like state. So I was wondering, is that something anybody can do?
Yeah, is it mind over matter, or is it a technique based in science and ultimately an explainable phenomenon?
Exactly.
Well, first, why don't we go talk to some experts, find out how they make the fire, if there's a special way to walk on it.
All right, let's go find some firewalkers.
So how exactly do you walk on red-hot coals without searing your souls?
Better to be rare than well done.
Many Mythbuster fans think it's all down to mind over matter.
For reasons completely unknown to science, the dancers emerge from this ordeal entirely unharmed.
Or is it a matter of science? And to begin answering these, oh dear, burning questions, Kari and Grant take a firewalking field trip.
So we're here on a fact-finding mission. We're in Sonora, California, and we're here to observe an actual firewalking class being put on by the Firewalking Institute of Research and Education. Hi, are you Tory?
I am Tory.
I'm Grant.
Incredibly, Tory teaches his students to walk across coals burning at 1,000 degrees.
All right, 1,000 or 2,000 degrees, that seems crazy to me. It seems like you're grabbing a pan out of the oven without using oven mitts. Can you just walk normally across the coals, or is there some sort of special way to do it?
Well, actually, the special way is to walk like you're walking down the street. You don't want to run because then you'll be pounding your feet down into the coals. You don't want to stop. You want to take light steps.
Well, it's easy to talk the firewalk talk, but let's see you walk the firewalk walk.
You learned this in the Boy Scouts?
I was never in the Boy Scouts.
Kari and Grant watch closely as the class carefully construct the perfect firewalk fire. From light up to step up takes just over an hour. But after collecting some daunting data,
I'm getting a top of about 1,300 Fahrenheit.
Kari is convinced that what matters is not what's in your mind, but how hot the darn coals are.
After measuring this fire at 1,400 degrees and hearing that after they rake it out, it only is going to go down to about 1,000, there's absolutely nothing so far that's convinced me that I'm going to walk on this.
But that's not stopping anyone else. The students, in their zen-like zone, glide across without a single injury. But before the team test it themselves, Grant, for one, wants some hard data.
I've seen it done, but I'd like to have a little bit more scientific backing before I'm willing to risk my feet.
So it's back to the shop where the science can begin. And to find out just how much heat gets to the feet, Kari begins by fabricating a fake foot from heat-resistant silicone. Meanwhile, Tory, as per our expert's instructions, prepares to build the fire.
So Kari and Grant have done the research. They learned how to build a firewalk, and now we're gonna build our own in our parking lot. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay down 30 feet of sod. That way we don't crack our cement. Then what we're gonna do is lay down 20 feet of wood. We're gonna light that wood on fire, let it burn down, and start walking. All right, we got fire extinguisher standing by.
Got a hose standing by.
Let's do it.
Now that we have our fire lit, we'll wait 1 hour for it to get to the optimal temperature for firewalking. That's when the coals are just glowing red and we can smush them down so we have a nice flat surface to walk on.
And Tory gets in touch with his inner hunter-gatherer.
All right, should we start walking?
Now let's step over to where Grant's making a sensor, used to assess burning in firefighting outfits.
So this is called a copper slug calorimeter. And the idea is that you have this disc of copper that's an exact size and weight, and based on those characteristics and its thermal transfer, you can connect a thermocouple to it, which measures temperature. You'll be able to predict whether or not you're going to get first, second, or possibly even third-degree burn.
And once wired up, these copper slugs will transmit that temperature info to a computer. Cue Grant's inner geek.
Firewalking is one of these things that's always been shrouded in mystery. And so here we are. We're going to peel back the curtain and have a look inside using science.
Brilliant. And with the sensors embedded in the silicone and the fake feet screwed to the bottom of Kari's shoes, the team's ready to stroll across hot coals.
I'm gonna put these on, walk just like I saw the firewalkers walk, and I'm actually really interested to see what sort of measurements we get. Oh, I feel just like Cinderella.
And after a pre-takeoff safety tip,
if you do fall into the embers, though,
cry.
Cover your face with your hands. You can always wear gloves.
Kari's hot new footwear is finally ready for the runway.
All right, you guys, it's over 1,000 degrees, which is what we saw at the firewalk. You ready to go?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see the coals glowing.
Okay, go ahead.
While Kari crunches the coals with her silicone soles, Grant's computer crunches the numbers.
Yeah!
See, that wasn't so bad.
No.
All right, Grant, what'd you get?
I got some really interesting results.
And the first set of results up for analysis is the high-speed camera shots, showing exactly how much toe-touching time there is.
So it turns out that my foot was only in contact with the hot coals from heel to toe for 9/10 of a second. And my full weight was only on it for 5/10 of a second. So right there, it shows you that might be one of the reasons that you don't get burned when you walk across hot coals, is you're not touching the coals for very long.
And what about the temperature and burn sensor data?
The interesting thing is that we don't predict any injury, first, second, or third-degree burns, during a normal walk. So as long as she keeps moving, theoretically, you won't get burned.
A theory backed up by this demonstration that the humble hot coal is actually very cool.
Apparently, charcoal and ash are 4 times better at insulation than wood. So in theory, you should be able to pick up one of these coals, which on one side is 900 degrees, and on the charcoal and ashy side is 300 degrees. So I should be able to put this in the palm of my hand without injury and potentially light a fire. Here we go.
So although the fire radiates heat through the air at over 1,000 degrees, the physics at the point of contact is very different.
There you go.
So it seems a walker experiences low temperatures due to the following: speed of contact, charcoal is a poor heat conductor, and an insulating layer of ash on the coals. Which means it's not looking good for the mythical, mystical method of mind over matter. Science seems to be saying that despite the searing temperatures, your Tootsies don't have time to toast. But there's only one way to find out for sure.
Now that we know that we're unlikely to get burned, is to actually try it ourselves.
It's wham bam shoot 'em man as Adam and Jamie discover it's a dog's life testing the myth you can build an electric stun gun powered by water. But it hasn't been going well. Plan A involved shooting into buckets. Plan B into ballistics gel. And the results? Ropey. So they're on to Plan C, shooting into sheep.
Oh, beauty.
At this point, what I'm seeing is a test where we're not getting a lot of good data because we have so many variables. The firing of this thing, the waving of the water, and specifically the ballistics gelatin. I'm not convinced that it's exactly the resistance of human flesh. So we brought in the leg of lamb for 2 reasons. 1, to eliminate that variable because it's very close to human flesh. It ought to give us a beautiful reading. And 2, because I think Jamie's hungry and he likes cooking the experiments when we're done with them.
And that's not the only change. To try to get to the arcing and loaded phases, they're going to house the water in plastic tubes. That will guarantee a laminar flow.
Testing the aquazap is actually quite difficult because it's hard to control where the streams of water are going. They can easily short out. The way the stun guns are designed with shooting out wires, the wires are insulated so you don't have that problem. So we're going to actually run water through tubes, and the plastic tubes will act as insulation. We should get more reliable results if we do that.
Next, they stick electrodes from the electric stun gun into the plastic tubes and poke the tubes into the lamb.
This is very Frankenstein.
A little bit.
Let's try from, what, the point blank distance, about 2 inches away.
Yep.
Okay, let's start with that.
Firing.
Yeah?
It's working.
Okay.
Jackpot. It's recorded the arcing phase and the loaded phase.
Awesome.
This sheep would be paralyzed, big time. But it needs to work at a distance, so they move back.
Firing at 2 feet.
I got a signal.
You got a signal? Is it a good one?
Not bad.
It's still a paralyzing jolt, but there's a problem.
As we're moving away, it's getting lower and lower.
They move back another 2 feet.
4 feet. You ready, Grant?
I'm ready.
4 feet.
Got something?
Yes, we're still in the loading phase.
Only just. The paralyzing potential's getting weaker and weaker.
So it's dropping. Every time we move a foot out, it's dropping.
That's right.
What we're seeing here has everything to do with a property of resistance, of a medium's resistance to electricity. Wire's got a very low resistance. It loves electricity. Water, it's got a much higher resistance, and it increases significantly however much more water you've got to move through, which means every time we move 1 foot further away from our target, the water's applying more resistance and less electricity is getting to the target. It's not looking very good for the aquazap here.
Remember, the standard store purchase stunner works at 15 feet, so they retreat another 4 feet.
Firing 8 feet.
It's all heading in one direction, belly up.
I think it's starting to break down because look at the current here.
I do. It looks, it's still matching the curve somewhat, although it's definitely coughing up blood.
So that means that it's not really working past 4 feet, and that's not very far.
It's not an optimal distance.
No.
No.
It's taken a monumental effort to get to this point. Total and utter failure. But that's what myth-busting is all about.
You want to go through all the problems with the aquazap?
Okay, as far as I can see, we've got two major issues, both of which lead towards the same problem. The first issue is the difficulty in creating a laminar flow means that the effective distance over which you can use the aquazap is pretty limited. And the second is that the amount of electricity delivered varies greatly with the amount of water that is traveling through. Both of these things mean you've got a super limited range this thing works from, and that doesn't make it a very effective weapon.
Okay, so the aquazap is DOA. I'm kind of disappointed though. I had my heart set on, like, firing lightning bolts.
I thought that you would say that. I knew that you were feeling that, and that's why I have a surprise for you.
In 3.
Kari, Grant, and Tory have been testing the tale that if you flame grill a fire extinguisher, it'll blow up and put out a fire. In test 3, the foam-filled tank blew the fire away rather than put it out. So for test 4, Grant's cannibalized a CO2 canister to see if it gives them the retardant result they're looking for.
So this is the fire extinguisher that has the safety features defeated. It's ready to go. It's totally full. I'm going to take it over to the unlit fire now.
Gingerly. And Tory, for one, is sure there'll be a big bang.
Because it's so dangerous, I don't want to be anywhere near it when the fire is lit. So I have some timed fuse, which is in a bag of smokeless powder. Now this fuse will give me 40 seconds per foot, so that'll give me plenty of time to light the fuse. Good, let's go. Get back to the bunker before the fire is lit.
And really, you can't blame the guys for being cautious.
I'm happy I'm back here in the bunker.
The water-filled tank started at 100 psi. This CO2 tank, with safety valve disabled, is already pressurized to 800.
It has been 4 minutes.
Safety valve on the regular CO2 fire extinguisher has gone off by now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which means it's definitely doing something inside that tank.
Yeah, pressure is building.
Pressure is building, but so is the team's doubt. Maybe the tank has sprung a leak and they won't get the explosion they want. Or maybe they will. And now everybody's happy. A warm campfire, good company,
Don't see a fire.
and a whopper of an explosion.
Did you see how far the tank went?
Officially, using the latest in high-speed camera equipment and ballistics analysis, I'd say you a long way.
Look, it's a log from the fire!
Hot? Fire? What do you know?
Wow.
Look at the fire, or what's left of it.
There's a little left. It's almost totally out.
All right, so this is the only part of the CO2 extinguisher that I've found so far. Look how thick that is. That's like a 1/4 inch. Yeah.
Yep, it's busted all right. But what about the myth?
Well, yeah, it didn't so much put the fire out as obliterate it.
But it put it out. And we got the explosion we wanted.
There you go.
Yeah!
Hello, plausible.
Kari, Grant, and Tory are tackling the tall tale that a trance is your chance for a hot-cold crossing.
Yeah! See, that wasn't so bad.
But so far, the numbers predict that anyone can do it burn-free. However, there's only one way to find out for sure. So a hop, step, and a jump cut later.
Does this seem like a stupid idea now?
No. We've had a lot stupider ideas than this.
It's the moment we, if not Kari, Grant, and Tory, have all been waiting for.
All right, those coals are all red hot. You guys ready?
There's no turning back now.
Oh, are you nervous at all?
No.
A little.
All right.
After a few moments to psych herself up, Kari's the first onto the foot fryer. Cue the dramatic music.
It's totally not hot.
Despite her levels of adrenaline shooting off the scale, Kari makes it across safely and finds her feet unfried.
It's doable. That's doable.
Next up for their tiptoe into trepidation is Grant.
Yeah, Grant!
And cool as a cucumber, he catwalks over the coals.
Very graceful!
There we go. A little hot, a little hotter than I expected, but I think I made it.
Which just leaves Tory. And true to form, he steps up and charges straight in.
Tory.
Here we go.
Before breezing across.
It's not that bad at all. I thought it was gonna be a lot worse than that. It looks way worse than it is. It's really not that bad. It's the mental part that messes with you the most. As soon as I stepped on it, it really wasn't that bad. In fact, I didn't even feel it. I had to walk back one more time just to see whether or not they were hot. That was so crazy. But you know what? The worst part was what was going on in your head. The physical wasn't so bad.
Yeah, there is not any amount of drumming or chanting that would have made me walk on that coal. But the physics was there. That's what got me through the first step.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. It was hot out there, but not hot enough to burn us.
All right, so this one's looking busted.
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 All right, let's try gasoline-soaked socks next.
Woo!
It seems it's physics that keep your feet from being flame grilled and not mind over matter. Or is it? What about a mind unprepared? A mind unsullied by the certainty of science?
I thought it was gonna be a lot worse than that.
To find out, let's segue to the next day.
What are you cooking?
We're gonna be cooking, well, at the bottom of your feet.
We're looking at the science of firewalking.
Firewalking! Awesome!
Apparently, Adam would walk over hot coals to walk over hot coals.
We're all set up. Adam just got here, but we haven't lit the fire yet. I want to light it in front of him so he sees how hot this fire gets. So that starts playing on his mind.
It's one thing to think intellectually that I've always wanted to walk on fire. It's quite another to feel the heat of 2,000 some odd degrees at my back.
So Adam's ready for his trial by fire.
You can do it!
And remember, before Kari, Grant, and Tory took their first hot step, they knew they wouldn't get burned.
You gotta tell your feet
My
to
heart
move,
rate
though.
just went up a bit. Okay.
But Adam knows nothing about the data and the technique of stepping lightly. Will he get across unscathed, or will those red-hot coals fry his feet? Ah, yes. Apparently so.
Woo! Wow! That hurt a lot. Ow was going through my head. As I did it, walk, 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 this isn't so bad. Holy crap, this is pretty bad. Ah! Like that. That's about the thought process.
So it seems that it does matter what's in your mind, but only insofar as knowledge about technique and preparation go.
With no prep at all, I think I made a classic mistake of speeding up and digging my feet into the coals more.
Yep, Adam's hard marching method meant some of the coals stuck to his feet, giving them more time to conduct their heat. Ouch.
Hey, it's me.
And after a call home with the not-so-good news...
So I just walked on hot coals, and I burned the hell out of my feet.
Let's break out the burn cream and get this myth wrapped up.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I would have made it across if it weren't for you meddling kids.
We didn't know that was gonna happen. I mean, we all made it across just fine.
Well, how do you explain that?
Well, the science is all there. I mean, you can do it without burning your feet. I mean, it's not magic.
Yeah, in the high-speed analysis, it looked like you were grabbing onto the coals with your toes.
Yeah, you have like monkey feet and you're just picking those coals up.
Okay, so what are you guys calling it?
Well, it's clear that none of us had to be in a trance in order to get across the coals.
Science still wins. It's busted.
Busted.
All right, see you next time.
You're not hurt.
You're right, I'm not hurt. Bye.
Adam and Jamie have proved you can't turn a conventional stun gun into an electrified water stun gun. But in true never-say-die fashion, they're moving on, amping up to extreme levels to try and get a result.
Jamie said that he wanted some big lightning bolts, and behind me in this nondescript building are the lightning bolts of his dreams. For this is the home of the Nevada Lightning Lab and Greg Lay, and he is going to generate some monster-sized lightning bolts for us. Jamie will be well pleased.
Ain't that the truth? This place is the world leader in lightning technology.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Jamie.
Now there's the lightning bolt generator of our dreams.
So do you mind if we hook that big beastie up to my little squirt gun here and see what happens?
We'll give it our best shot.
Awesome.
Greg's Tesla coil is right up the Mythbusters alley.
This is really quite an extraordinary device. It's got over a mile of wire, a bank of capacitors. It sends out lightning bolts with about 1 million volts or so over 30 feet. It's just nuts.
Nuts? Excellent. Crank it up.
We're good to go.
The Tesla coil is actually 2 giant coils of wire that conduct electricity. One charges up the other, increasing the voltage output to near 1 million volts. And then, like lightning, it breaks out. Looking for the shortest path to Earth. And Jamie and Adam are near beside themselves. But there's more to this than just a light show. Adam and Jamie are on a mission.
Is that a big enough lightning bolt for you?
Yeah.
Let's zap some bad guys.
Okay.
Dummy dude, watch out. Jamie's up top in a cocoon basket. Using the aquazap, he'll fire a stream straight at the ballistics gel perpetrator. Can the 1 million volt jolt juice up the stream and blast the bad guy? Jamie gets into position.
He's getting inside a Tesla coil for science.
Believe it or not, he's insulated and totally safe inside.
Dead man walking.
This is not just a Mythbusters first, it's a world first. But maybe that's because no one else has been crazy enough to try it.
We're actually doing something really interesting. This is actually directing a lightning bolt out of a stream of water. This is the maximum amount of electricity that we could pump through something like a squirt gun, and it really is quite exciting.
Greg gets the Tesla coil juices flowing.
This is my new favorite toy.
Jamie takes aim.
At speed.
And fires.
We hit him! Whoa, yeah!
Bullseye. This time they've cracked it. An electric stun gun that runs on water.
Nice work, dude! How you feeling?
You got him!
That was a nice shot. I could see right down the lightning bolt right to his head.
1 million volts. And unlike a real perpetrator, our bad dude hasn't even broken a sweat. What a trooper. And he's willing to take another one for the team. Jamie's starting to warm to this gig.
Done! He's out!
This time the strike is even better. It's traveled right along the stream, 1 million volts straight into the bad guy's brain. But it's thrown up a small design problem.
Here's what I've concluded. You've got a perp, he's causing trouble, you want to subdue him. So, you get a crane. You crane in your 18-foot high Tesla coil, you bring a ladder over, you climb inside it, get in a water pistol, load it up, squirt it at the perpetrator, and subdue him. In other words, it seems totally impractical.
And along with the myth, the fun's done and dusted.
I have to admit, I had high hopes for the water stun gun, but we did due diligence and it's busted.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well busted. You're not going to fit one of those in a holster anytime soon.
No, our work here is done.